everyone! Today I have another vlog for you. Today we'll be exploring another one of my procrastination moments, which was by deciding the other night that I needed a Sophie hood, but also deciding that I don't really need to buy the pattern because it's a pretty simple design, and this is no shade to petite knit. There are a lot of simple designs out there and I just feel comfortable enough to look at it and understand how it's constructed, so I didn't feel the need to buy a pattern. But this is what I have so far. And I was trying to get to the hood part so that I could show you what I was going to make. This is what I have so far, so I just have the scarf part of it. And I'm going to draft a pattern for the hood right now. I'm basing it off a balaclava that I have, which is this one. I'm just going to use it to figure out the top curve. And I also based the width of my scarf on the width of the hood here. I've only made the calculations for the scarf part, so now I'm going to show you how I draft a pattern for the hood. This is not going to be a tutorial on how to do the Sophie hood. This is more so me just showing you how I make calculations and all of that pattern making process, because that's always what most of the people are curious about my process, so I wanted to show you. Even if you don't use it to make exactly the Sophie hood, I think it's always beneficial to look into the pattern making process because you can adapt these techniques to other projects that you want to make. And maybe it can clarify some things that you were always curious about but never knew how they were made exactly. So yeah, I hope it's beneficial in some way, or if not, I hope it's entertaining. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but this space is a little bit different. Basically, I just switched up this shelf and the fold-over table. So the fold-over table used to be on this side. I did that because when I was filming on my knitting machine, the fold-over table was making it a little bit hard to film, and also it wasn't letting as much light pass through. So I switched it up, and right now it's much easier for me to film on the fold-over table. By the way, I didn't show you my fully knit outfit. I don't know if my room is big enough for me to show you a full view of the outfit this way, but basically this is the Upstream Sweater, which was a sweater that I didn't remember the name of on my last video, and instead of looking it up I kept saying that I didn't remember, but it's the Upstream Sweater by Rows Knitwear. These pants were knit on the knitting machine and the pattern is by me. I have a reel of them on my Instagram, and I think I also showed some of the process on a YouTube video, but I'll look it up and I'll link it up here if that's the case. And I'm also wearing my I'll show you my IMAX Tactics socks. They are cable socks knit in 3.5mm needles, so they are on the chunkier side, and I love wearing them around the house because they are super warm. I guess that's everything I have to tell you, and we're ready to draft a pattern for the hood. So here's my reference hood and here's my scarf. So I've reached the width of the hood and I just have to replicate this top section. Here's the measurements that I need. I'm just going to draft the hood so that I can write down the measurements. Here's what I need to know. I already know that I have 50 stitches as my width. So 50 stitches, and I need to know what's the height of the hood. It's 28 centimeters, so this section will be 28 centimeters. And I know that I'll have to knit back and forth until I reach this part where I will start decreasing to create this rounded shape at the top. So I need to know what's the length until I reach the section where I'll start to decrease, and it's 18 centimeters. So from here to here I'll have 18 centimeters. And I'm just going to place my eraser here so that I can measure what's the length of this top part. Oops. The part where I will be decreasing is 10 centimeters in length, and this top section will be the stitches that I will have to end up with after I have decreased. So let me just measure that, which will be 16 centimeters. I'm not being super precise with these measurements because, to be honest, I know that it won't make much of a difference. If instead of 10 centimeters it should be 9.5, it doesn't really change that much because I'm making the hood a little bit bigger than what the Sophie hood seems to be to me. I think that one is a little bit closer to the head, but I want mine to be a little bit oversized, so I'm following this hood shape that I already know that I like because I use this one. I'm going to zoom you in so that you can see my calculations a little bit better. So I've already written down my swatch, which is 18 stitches by 34 rows. I know that to make my calculations I'll have to multiply these measurements by either 1.8 for the stitches or 3.4 for the rows. So for my total amount of rows, which is 28 centimeters, I just have to multiply 28 by 3.4, and that tells me that the number of total rows that I will be working for the hood is, I'll round it to 96 rows. Now for the 16 centimeters, to know how many stitches I need to have at the top, it's 16 centimeters, and I have to multiply that by the number of stitches, which is 1.8. It gives me 28.8, so 29 stitches. And that tells me that if I have a total amount of 50 stitches, if I remove the 29 stitches, I'm just going to change these to 30 stitches so that I have an even number. It doesn't really change anything in the shaping, it's just so that it's even for my own sanity. So I will have to decrease in this section, I will have to decrease 20 stitches. Okay, so I'll have to decrease 20 stitches in 34 rows. So if I divide 34 rows by 20 stitches, that tells me that I will have to decrease every 1.7 rows, and obviously I can't do that. So what I'll do is, let's sketch it here. So this section, it's the top part of the hood, and I'll divide the decreasing into two sections. So I have to decrease 20 stitches and I have 34 rows. So if I in 28 rows divided by 2, I will decrease 14 stitches. I'll have another 6 stitches, and I think that's perfect. So in 28 rows, I will decrease every 2 rows. So that will give me a total of 28 divided by 2 of 14 decreased stitches. So I will have to decrease 6 more stitches in this section. So I'll have to decrease 6 stitches. So my total on the decrease section is 34 rows, and I've already used up 28, so I have 6 rows left and I have 6 stitches to decrease. So that means that I will be decreasing every row, and this section is 6 rows. So I've divided this decrease section into 2 so that I don't have a straight line across the decrease section. I have more of a gradual decrease and then a more abrupt one, which will create more of a curved shape. I hope that makes sense. Right now I have a whole lot of back and forth knitting to do to figure out how much is this section that I will be knitting back and forth. I just have to subtract from the total number of rows the number of rows in this section. So I'll have to knit 62 rows before I start working on the decreasing. That's what I'm going to do now, and I'll get back to you once I've knit the whole hood. I'm just going to show you what's my plan for the construction. So this part with the diagonal is the front of the hood, and this is the back. So what I need to do now is to leave these first 3 stitches on hold, because this is the stitches for the I-cord edge, and I'm going to leave them on hold. Knit the hood, knit the other side of the hood, and once I get to the section where I need to knit the opposite side of the scarf, I will rejoin these 3 stitches, and then I just have to seam the back of the hood together, if that makes sense, but I'll show you at a later stage once I've completed both sides of the hood. This is the front part of the hood, and this is the back, meaning that I will have to leave these first 3 stitches on hold, and I'll place them on a stitch marker. I have my first 3 stitches on hold, and I'm going to knit back and forth for 62 rows. And just for curiosity purposes, I'm going to time how long it takes me to knit those 62 rows, which I think will be quite a lot, but anyway. Once I finish the 62 rows, even if I make breaks, I'll just stop the counter and then restart it. It has been nearly an hour, and I'm halfway through the 62 rows that I need to knit, so I've knit 31 rows. currently nighttime, as you can see by the lighting. And here's where I'm at. It's time to start decreasing in this section to create the rounded shape. And that's what I'm going to do now. It took me 2 hours. Like, this is how long it took me to knit that section. Anyway, I'm going to knit the decrease section, and I think that will take me around an hour again because it's 34 rows. So I'm thinking that once I finish the hood and I start knitting the other part of the hood, if I can join it as I go, I think I can. I just don't know if I can make it really neat, but I'll try that once I get to that stage. So I made quite a lot of progress yesterday. As you can see, I've been joining the hood as I go, which is turning out quite well, and it's basically reversible. I actually think that I like the wrong side even more than the right side. Let me show you. So this is the right side. And this is the wrong side. Yeah, I think it's turning out really neat. So I'm just going to continue doing the same along this edge while I knit the rest of the hood. So basically I'll be knitting back and forth until here, and I'll be joining as I go. And what I like to do to join as I go is doing the same as you would do in a double knit button band. I don't know if you ever knit anything like that, but basically I'm going to pick up the number of stitches that corresponds to the number of rows that I have to knit along this edge, and I'm going to knit the last stitch of the row together with the stitch that I've picked up, and that way I'm going to join it without adding another stitch. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to do now is to pick up the number of stitches, which is 62, and then I'll show you once I get to the end of the row so that you can see how I join it. In garter stitch, each of these points corresponds to 2 rows. So what I'm going to do is pick up half of the stitches that I need. So I'll pick up every bump, which will be 31 rows, and I'm going to join every other row, which is what I did up here at the top, and I think the join is pretty seamless, so I don't see why I should do it every row. If I pick up every bump, it should correspond to the 31 rows, so hopefully it will work out. I'm actually really glad that I've been joining as I go, because seaming is definitely the part of the project that I don't like as much. Not that it takes super long, I just don't think that it's fun. And if I can do it while I'm knitting the project, even better. Okay, so let's check if I have the number of stitches that corresponds to the 31 rows. I have more than 31, but I think that these two shouldn't be here. But that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'll join every row on the first. So if I have 34, I'll join everyone on the first 3 rows, and for the rest I'll join every other row, and I think that will even things out. This is the row that I have to knit, and as you can see, my working yarn is here, and the stitch that I've picked up to join as I go is here. I just have to move it to this needle so that I can place my yarn in the back, because I'm going to knit, not to purl, and I'm going to move this stitch to this needle, and here's what I have to do to join. I'm going to knit the first 2 stitches together, and now I just have to knit the rest of the row normally. Well, I haven't talked with you in a couple of days, but I'm nearly done with the Sophie scarf dupe. So this is how much I have left. But I don't have any more of this yarn, so I will have to run out to get more. I'll just get one more skein and then I can finish this. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it by today, but if not, tomorrow morning I'll tackle it and it will be done. So let's go to the store. I've gotten back home and I have my skein of yarn, so I'm ready to finish the Sophie hood dupe. But first I have to get out of these jeans. So let's change and then we can continue working on this. Okay, much better. Change into some sweatpants and now we can get back to this. I don't know if I told you exactly how many rows I have left. Let me grab my phone. So I have 87 rows left. I'm counting backwards, so once I reach the row number 1, it's where I end my work. Let me just open the calculator because I have to check in which row I'm going to do the decrease. I don't think that I've shown you, but what I like to do to keep track of rows is to open the calculator and I keep subtracting 6, which is the number of rows in which I'm doing the decrease, to figure out in which row I have to do it so that I can keep track of everything. I'm currently on row 87 and then I'll just keep decreasing until I reach row 84 where I'll be doing the decrease. We love a yarn barf. Well, this is actually going by super fast since I don't have that many stitches on this part, but I'm currently at 51 rows left, but it's already getting dark out, so let's see if I can finish this before nighttime. But I'm guessing that I won't, so maybe I'll only talk to you tomorrow. We'll see.
Click on the Add Bundle tab and then make a name for your bundle.
I have to go grab some scissors so that I can cut the yarn. But I am all done with this. I'm going to show you tomorrow because as you can see it's super dark and I don't really like this lighting, so I'll show you tomorrow, which will be the next clip. So this is the final result of my Sophie hood dupe. I think it turned out pretty good. There's a few things that I would change if I were to make it again. Like at the back, I would have decreased the length of the hood because I feel like it's struggling against my neck. It should be just around 5 centimeters shorter and it would have been perfect, but it's okay. It ended up being a little bit more oversized than what I initially wanted, but it's not a big deal, and actually I'm thinking of gifting it, so it won't be much of a problem for the person that I'm thinking of gifting it to. Something else that I would like to have done differently was to extend the length of the scarf just a little bit so that I would have more excess fabric around the neck. I mean, this was my first draft of the pattern and I didn't unravel anything, I just kept going and trusted my gut, so it's not too bad considering that I didn't unravel anything. So I'm happy with the outcome, but I don't think that I will make another one for myself simply because I don't love the garter stitch. But I'm sure that the person I'm gifting this to will love it. So all in all, I'm happy with the result and I hope you enjoyed it too. I think that many of you will love my next project, so don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep up with what I'm sharing, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye!